This is where we live. But where do we store our RV? Today we're talking about RV storage. Where do you store your rig?
We obviously don't store it at home because we don't have room for that, but we have to store it somewhere. And when you've got to store your RV, there's a few questions you need to ask yourself.
First of all, covered or uncovered?
Sometimes you don't have much of a choice. In our case, we do have a choice. Unfortunately, that comes with a cost that's about twice as much to go covered versus uncovered. So we went uncovered. Pros and cons? Well, if you're uncovered, you've got the snow, you've got the sun, you've got the wind, and you've got the elements and the birds and the insects. Mice are probably going to get into anything, whether it's covered or uncovered. But if I had to pick and choose and I could choose anything, I would get covered. Now, here's something to consider. With a covered space here in the Utah area, extremely difficult to find. In fact, if you do find an RV storage spot, which is getting more challenging as more and more people take up the hobby and the population grows, it's really, really hard. I've been on a waiting list for a covered spot, even though we don't want to pay for it. I'm still on the waiting list.
He's hopeful that someday I'll be like, okay, we'll pay for it.
If we win the lottery before my turn comes up, we're going to be ready. So covered versus uncovered, I would choose covered if at all possible. Now, here's one more thing to consider with covered. With covered, you've got a structure over you. So you got these big metal pillars, and that can make it hard to navigate your trailer in and out. With uncovered on a lot, you kind of have a little bit of wiggle room, a little cheat room. So I don't know if that's kind of a big deal or not for me, who hates backing up and parking a trailer. That might be a bigger deal than it is for more experienced RVers.
This is a perfect example of why you need a little more room when backing in or pulling out an RV. You tend to swing a little bit wide. This mailbox was not so lucky when someone pulled out. Kudos to trying to put it back up, though. Looks okay. Here's something interesting we came across while filming this video. This mallard here has had a very bad day, and maybe this is a downside to covered parking. So if you're going to get covered parking, you may want to check with your facility and make sure they're doing something to take care of the critters up in the rafters.
Okay, so our next topic is concrete versus gravel. Now, I don't know if there's any benefit to gravel. I don't see any. Tell them about our gravel experience.
So gravel equals mud. Here in Utah, we have a lot of weather. As you can probably guess, we're in northern Utah, and it equals a muddy mess, which when you store, you kind of expect that. I mean, it's not an RV resort where you're getting in and out all the time, but you do want to come and work on it periodically. And when you've got 4 inches of standing water and 2 inches
which is what we had. I mean, we had this huge lake right where the door was to get in, and we asked them several times if they could fill it in, and they said, what?
We'll get to it.
Did they get to it?
Never did.
So anyway, but the price between gravel and concrete is just a lot. It's a huge expense. And I looked and looked and looked and couldn't find anything. So we still are on gravel.
Yeah, well, and in this RV storage facility, the only concrete pads you get are going to be under covered parking anyway.
You can see behind us there. Yeah.
The next step up is going to be fully enclosed. Now, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can get a fully enclosed, like garage type unit. The disadvantage to that, aside from all the obvious advantages, is you're going to have, I think, a tight space. Most of ours are 12 foot wide by about 40 feet, maybe 45 at the largest. And if you put an RV in there, I just don't feel like it's going to give you an awful lot of room to work. Maybe a couple feet on each side, maybe a couple feet at the end. And if I think
one of the questions too is, can you even put your stairs out?
Ooh, that is a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, please, if you use this type of storage, let us know. That is a really good question. Seems like it'd be more suited to a motorhome than a fifth wheel or anything else. All right, and the next step up from that is, of course, like a warehouse type facility that brings in your RV. They'll bring it in for you, they'll take it out for you, they'll polish it, they'll wash it, do some basic maintenance or maybe even full-on maintenance. And this is
Concierge Service.
Astronomically crazy. We do have a few facilities like that. I called one in Salt Lake City, and
crazy awesome.
It's more than
like, don't say crazy. Wonder if somebody has it. Also, we're just jealous.
Yeah, so if we had a $700,000 Class A, we'd probably consider it and we could probably afford it. But that's just not going to happen right now. Next topic is pull through versus back in. This isn't even a question. If you can pull through, pull through. We had a back-in space, and we're relatively new to RVing.
Some people like to show off their backing in
That's
skills,
not me.
though.
That's not me. I don't care if I've been doing trailers for 10 years. I don't like doing it. In fact, someone once told me, if you have to back up and you can choose, never back up, even in your car. It always ends bad. But with an RV, yeah, that's tricky. So everyone's going to want a pull-through spot. We moved because we had an opening in a pull-through spot, a little more expensive, but definitely worth it. In fact, we moved the RV and I was able to drive it around 2-3 times, park it, move it, park it, move it. And it was the most refreshing feeling of freedom I've ever had in driving that RV.
We would get back from our trips and like he would just dread it because it was like,
I'd have to block out some significant time.
Now, and then it's like, oh.
I'm going to get better. I know I'm going to get better, but it's awfully stressful. And when we go to RV parks and resorts, it's always a pull through. We just don't want to back in. Well, I don't want to back in.
Yeah, I'm like, speak for yourself. I've never tried it.
I'm on the slow bus.
Guessing I don't like it
I'm in the slow class A. I'll get there eventually.
All right, next topic. Covered with tarp or not covered with tarp? We do see a few covered with tarps in our storage space here. We've heard lots of negative things about it, especially if you live in like a humid climate. Utah's very dry, so we might not have the same issues with mold and things like that that they deal with maybe in the South or the Pacific Northwest, but we don't have ours covered. A lot of times we have huge windstorms and then we'll drive through and we'll see them like all blowing in the wind and they just don't seem to stay down very well. But if you cover yours with a tarp, tell us why, how, and we just would love to know a little bit more about that.
All right, another topic that comes up is rodents, mice. Luckily, we haven't had a problem with that ourselves, but I know it's a problem when you park your RV. We are parked on gravel, depending where you're at. You could be next to an industrial area, you could be by fields. You can see where we're at. We're in a very mountainous, open field area, just off the Great Salt Lake. So it can be a problem here, but I think it depends on how they maintain the facility and I don't know, maybe the luck of the draw. We haven't had any issues and I hope we never do. Now we know there's lots of homebrew remedies to keep the mice out of your RV. We've heard of bars of soap. We've heard of, in particular, Irish Spring. We've heard of dryer sheets. Now we have actually put dryer sheets down just because we had heard of it. I don't know if it makes a difference. I haven't crawled under the RV to check out for any little teeny cracks that are open, but since we haven't had a mouse problem, maybe I just haven't worried about it and I probably ought to get more proactive on that.
All right, next on our list is the Neighbor app. This is the app that I tried to go through to find a place that was paved. If you haven't used the Neighbor app, it's actually really cool. It's people that have space in their driveway, on the side of their house, in the back of their house, maybe on property that they have, and they are offering it to you for storage of whatever you need stored. So I found a few places that were relatively inexpensive, maybe a little bit more than what we were paying here, that were on pavement, but Dan said no. And the reason why is because most of those places don't give you access anytime you want. You have to kind of make an appointment or let them know when you're coming or when you're going to be taking your trailer. And he just didn't want to be, on somebody else's schedule. He wanted to have access to the trailer whenever we needed access. The other thing is he was worried about safety. If it's in somebody's driveway or the side of their house, if it's not locked up, it's just not super secure. So for those two reasons, we did not use one of the Neighbor app options, but just know that if you are looking for storage, it is a great app. There were lots and lots of different options for that around where we live. So there's probably some where you live as well.
All right, we saved the best option for the last, and that is parking next to your own place. How nice would that be?
I don't know.
Obviously, that's not going to work for us, but if you are one of the lucky few that does have an RV parking spot right there by your house, then God bless you.
You're very, very lucky, very fortunate. We would love to have that for laundry and just the ease of packing and unpacking. Very lucky. So
very dreamy.
Yep.
Is there a downside to having your RV at your house? If there is, please tell us.
We can't think of any.
We can't.
Okay, so where we live, which is just a little bit north of Salt Lake City, Utah, an outdoor back-end spot on gravel is $110 a month, where an outdoor pull-through spot is $139 a month. Now, if you want a covered back-end spot, that would be on cement, is $249 a month, so kind of a big jump there. An enclosed, so like a fully enclosed garage that is 12 by 45, but it's a back-end, is $419 a month. That just seems so much to me. Warehouse concierge facility, which is, there's one that's not too far from us. It is $1,219 a month. Wow. However, if you own your own home, it's $0, unless you have a mortgage.
And that does it for our RV storage chat. Please leave in the comments below information about the prices you pay or what kind of RV storage options you have out where you live in different parts of the country, different states. We really would love to know. And until next time, thanks for watching and
Keep it campy.